It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Quinncy University head sprint football coach, Coach Connor McLaughlin. How are you doing today?
I'm good, bud. I appreciate you asking us to come on, and we're excited to continue to knowledge people about sprint football.
Can you talk about, of course, how you knew that you wanted to become a college football coach in sprint football?
Yeah, so it was actually a pretty ironic story, I guess. I think for most high school coaches, I think if the opportunity presented itself, I think most of us would want to try to move to the college level just to kind of see if we can do it. I had that same aspiration as a young high school coach, but I've got a family. I got 3 small kids, so I did not think it was ever going to be an option. I thought it wasn't going to be until 10 or 15 years down the line when my kids were getting close to being in college, and so just kind of a lot of things went array, and all of a sudden this popped up in my hometown at a place that I graduated from, and it was something to where I was like many. I didn't know a whole lot about sprint football when they first kind of brought it to my attention. I had to do my research and kind of look up things, and so it was definitely a really amazing opportunity, for a lot of different reasons, and an opportunity for me to see if college is what I really wanted to do long term, and it's been quite an experience so far.
What was it like for you to play college football yourself?
I loved it. I tell kids all the time. I've told all my high school guys that I coached, and I don't regret it for a second. It was something I knew I wanted to do probably about my sophomore year of high school. I knew that I wanted to continue to play the game as long as I could, and unfortunately, God didn't grant me the ability to play it as long as I wished that I could have played it. But I don't regret it for a second. I loved being a college football player. I'll never forget, and I tell kids this too. When they commit to us, I have an older brother that I admired very much. So he also played, Division III football at Augustana College in Rock Island, Illinois. And when I signed my commitment letter, he told me, he goes, "You're now part of an elite group, not because you're being asked to play college football, but because you've made the decision that you're going to put in the effort, to play college football, and that separates you from hundreds of thousands of other high school players that decide not to do that." So it was an extreme honor, to play and to be a Blue Jay for the 2 years that I was, and I met a lot of amazing people. I had some amazing coaches, and people who have still continuously affect my life today. So I don't regret it for a second, and if I could go back and do it over the exact same way, and that was the only way I could, I would do it a million times over and over and over. So I thoroughly loved it, and it's awesome now that I have the opportunity to give that to other kids, for them to have that same experience.
How is that experience like going to Westminster to play college football and then transferring to Quinncy and playing golf and sprint football?
So actually, when I transferred here, I transferred back here to Quinncy. I'm born and raised here, and sprint football wasn't here yet. And so, when I came back here, I did have some buddies that were, teammates in our Division II team, and the idea crossed my mind, right, to go and see if I could walk on, and then I remember they were having a almost like a tryout day, right, where they brought kids in, during early January, and just ran them through some tests and stuff like that, and I happened to go, and I was just at the gym that day, and I was looking around. I was like, yeah, I can't. There's no way I can play with these guys. I was too small to be on the D line. I wasn't big enough to be a linebacker. I wasn't fast enough to be in the secondary. And that's when, again, I had a couple high school teams. I had played golf my entire life. competed as a young kid. And so I had a couple high school buddies of mine that played on our golf team, and I met with their golf coach, and he said, we need a walk on. And so I said, well, let's go out and play around and see if I'm worthy. And so then I finished those last 2.5 years, as a golfer here at Quinncy, and constantly kept admiring the football program, and cheered them on. I had a lot of good friends that played football here, so it was quite an experience. It was definitely an odd transition. Being a college football player compared to a college golfer is very, very different. But either which way, I mean, it was an amazing opportunity, and again, still has impacts on my life today. As I sit here back as now an employee of Quinncy University.
Of course, what was it like getting your first coaching job as on the high school level at Union High School?
It was very humbling. I had actually done my student teaching at Unity High School, so I started to kind of build a relationship with the principal there. Some of the kids kind of knew me already, and when the previous head coach had resigned, he actually called me and it helped me because he had helped me get the job I had previously, being a defensive coordinator at a small local high school. So I got called by a couple different people, and after the interview, probably I don't even think I was to my car yet, and the principal called me and said, "I'm going to hire you." It was very, very humbling. As a young 24-year-old, I thought I was ready. I thought I had the answers. I thought, okay, I've thought about this. I've planned for this. I'm ready. That first season smacked me in the face. It was definitely I couldn't have asked for a better group of seniors that I had. They worked their tails off, and I tell them all the time as I meet with them every year. All of my graduating players I meet with every holiday season, and I tell that first class all the time. If they would have had a better head coach, they would have made playoffs and they would have had a better year. But we made a lot of mistakes as a coaching staff, and but I loved it. It was an experience that I will never be able to pay back. It was something that I will always have a special place, for those kids, for the school, for the community, that football program. When I did leave there, my offensive coordinator took over. So a lot of the stuff that we implemented, he's still running, he's still doing, from a culture standpoint, all that kind of stuff. So, it's always going to be a place that is home to me. But it was an amazing experience, and I'm very, very lucky to have had that opportunity.
How is that transition like from going from Union High School on coaching on the high school level to going to the college level and coaching at Quinncy?
It's very different. It's a lot of I've actually had a couple other coaching buddies of mine that around the same time had made that shift from the high school to college level, and it's just a lot different. You try to the best of your ability, stay within who you are, which I think a lot of us high school coaches, we're all kind of built and brought up with the same idea of, it's the player experience, right? We want to win games, and that's great. But we want to make sure that we're taking care of our guys, that they love playing football for you and for the program and for the community. And you want to bring that same mentality, to the college level. There's just a lot of other different pieces that go with it. It's a lot more hands that get thrown into there, with your academics and, with other aspects of the university. And there's also the thing of, like with us, with we are a scholarship program. So, you kind of have to look at it as a business in a certain capacity. Again, I'm very lucky to where we don't really have a cap on how many scholarships we can give. So all of my guys receive something, which is phenomenal. But it's, I tell our kids all the time, it's the hardest part of my job. But every year recruiting, right, my job is to replace every starter that I have, right? I mean, that's the goal, is that I'm bringing in guys that are going to compete and going to challenge my starters and challenge my returner guys. And that's tough, because you build those relationships with those kids and you want to see them succeed, and then you're bringing in the newer model, right? I mean, it's a tough thing, but it's been a fun experience, seeing that transition and seeing it on the different sides and what things work at both levels, what things don't. So it's been challenging, but it's been a lot of fun.
How's it like obviously getting to work with the linebackers and running backs before you became the head coach?
That's what I played growing up. It was at the high school that I graduated from. Those are kind of the two big positions. We were a power run offense. So I was your old school traditional fullback. So I got to carry the ball a little bit, but my main job was to block. And then again, playing, I played both middle and outside linebacker. Played middle linebacker in college, and so being able to take all the things that I had learned over, the 12 years that I had played football, and be able to translate that over to younger guys and to see kind of that light bulb turn on, right? As you're coaching those positions and you're doing little things like that. And to see all of a sudden, boom, you tell them something, they do it. They're like, oh, I see that now. It's what made me fall in love with coaching. The first summer I had that ability to go back and coach my high school at a summer camp, and I was still playing at this time, and so it was a lot of fun. It definitely is what jump started my want to be a football coach, and so it's been a real honor, to have the ability to coach the positions I played, and then I've also, this past year I got to coach offensive line, which is the first time I've coached that position, and I loved it. I fell in love with an O-line. I'm an O-line guy now. I'm early in it, but I'm through it. I think I'm going to be an O-line guy from here on out. So it's a lot of fun. I mean, again, it's, I tell people all the time, and I tell our kids all the time, waking up and doing what you love to do, there's no amount of money in the world that replaces that. And I've been very, very gracious and humbled with a lot of the opportunities, that I get to do that. I get to wake up and do the things that I love on a daily basis. So it's really, really special.
How was that feeling like coming back to your alma mater and to become the head coach for the Sprint football program?
It was also very humbling. I mean, it's something to where I think everyone kind of wants to do that in some capacity, no matter what level they're at. To be able to come back to a place that you spent a lot of time and grew as a young individual. The type of person that I am today had a lot to do with the experiences and the people that I met here at Quinncy, and I just to be able to say, I'm an alumni, and I'm able, to come in and do something very different and very new for the university, was a huge honor. Something that I words don't really describe very well exactly what that meant. But it was a huge honor, and something that I know is a big motivator for me. I want to make sure that we are a good representation of the university, and those people that believed in me and gave me this chance. So that's always kind of in the back of my mind to make sure that we're representing the university well, and able to kind of slowly start to pay back those people that believed in us and gave us these opportunities. So.
Of course, once you became the head coach, what was the first few things that you did to build the culture for the Sprint football program?
Well, the first thing I did is because we kind of had they hired me in August, the year before we started our first season. So I had almost an entire year to recruit, build, but I actually spent that entire 2021 football season with our Division II team. Their head coach, Gary Bass, who is probably one of the best coaches and the best men that I've ever been around. I can't express how much he's done for me, what he's taught me, and the friend that he's been to me throughout this process. He's been my number one supporter outside of my wife and my family. He's been huge, but sitting with them and being able to kind of see how they do things, not only just from a football standpoint, but from a culture standpoint, because like I said, being a student here, back in the mid 2000s, and watching the football program at that time and seeing, again, having very close friends that played football. And, I've seen the transition that he's been able to bring in. There was the big difference, right, of trying to turn a ship, right, trying to come into a culture and change the culture, than starting a brand new one, right? Like I don't have the previous culture to try to suffocate. Whereas, for me, it was I got the clean slate right away. And so it wasn't a lot of the things that they had to go through. I knew I wasn't going to have to, unless I made the mistake of not establishing a good culture right away. And so for me, it was, and again, from advice from Gary and their staff of, figure out the things that you just will never have compromise on, the things that you need in place, and then build out from there. And so that's what we kind of did. And I built 4 main culture pillars that we talk about on a daily basis. We talk about in our recruitment meetings. So all 4 of them have different aspects of what I wanted to do as a football program, and then I found ways to try to translate that to the kids, right? To project that onto them, so they don't just see it in a PowerPoint, but they feel it from our actions as coaches, from our players, and so their help and kind of still a trial and error. I won't ever say that it's perfect. We are very pleased with what we've been able to install, in the first year, but it will continue to grow and continue to get better. And, but being able to kind of be a fly on the wall, so to speak, with them and to see them and how they did things was a huge help. And there was also, things that I brought from being a high school head coach and, again, things that I've always said that I would never change as a coach, no matter where I was, no matter what level I was at. These are the things I was always going to stay with. And so, being true to me and myself and what I wanted to do has all kind of, wrapped into how I tried to lay that foundation of a culture for our program.
Of course, while at Quincy, how has it been like obviously being the head coach for the Sprint football team, but also having that great relationship with the college football coach and getting to learn from him on how to build the program and how the game of football works on the college level?
I don't think I could have done it without him. Because just like, when I took over at Unity and I thought that I had the answers, right? I thought that I knew what to do as a head coach. This was the same type of scenario, right? I knew there was going to be things that I was going to fail on. I knew there were going to be things, especially from the school side of things, right? The things that I'm expected to do through the university that really isn't necessarily football related. A lot of that stuff is a lot more than what I had to deal with as a high school coach. And so, being able to just kind of bounce things off of him. I'm also very lucky that our athletic director, who was also our baseball coach for 12 years here, who was also an alumni here, he's also has been a great resource to kind of bounce things off of, because again, he got here and he turned our baseball program into one of the top Division II programs in the country. And so having guys like that to kind of bounce things off of, our lacrosse coach has been phenomenal, helping me out as well. Our baseball coach who took over for our AD has been phenomenal. It's been really, really special to have all these different coaches who have been willing to say, hey, you need something, you let me know. Because again, there was so much about this job that I did not anticipate, and I don't think I ever could have anticipated. And so it's been really, really humbling, to have their support and their friendships, and it's definitely been a big reason why we've been able to do what we've done in that first year.
What are some of the similarities and differences between Sprint football and the Division I, Division II football that you see on TV today?
Everything is the same except for the weight limit. The game itself is played the exact same way. It's no different. We actually use the same NCAA rules. We even share officials with our Division II conference. So we actually use their officials, the assigner, and so we get more of the entry level guys, ones that are starting to get into the college officiating game. But it's kind of been it was a win-win, I think, for both, right? Where our conference got very motivated officials that wanted to transition to college, and then after they're spent a couple years with us, they're a little bit more prepared to then go into with the GLVC, our Division II conference. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, again, we're the exact same. It's just they've got our Division II team had a phenomenal offensive tackle this year. Um, BJ Wilson is probably one of the best young men I've ever met in my entire life. He had some NFL looks. Unfortunately, got hurt, but he was 6'6" and 315 pounds. My left tackle was 5'11" and 185 pounds. So that's the difference. It's just the fact of you're not going to see any 250-pound kids on the field in a sprint football game. But outside of that, it's the same. I mean, it's football. There's no change in the rules. The field's not shorter. The quarters aren't shorter. I mean, I will say probably I think something that our coaches had kind of agreed with at the end of the season, which we've all, I have coaches that have taught from Pop Warner to high school to major college to arena league to semi-pro. I'm very lucky with coaches that have a lot of experience in different levels. We all kind of agreed, I think pound for pound, it's probably one of the most physical forms of football that you'll see. Because for whatever reason, these guys have played for their entire lives saying you're too small, so you kind of have to act a lot bigger than you are. Well, now all of a sudden you still have that mentality, but you're not trying to tackle a kid that's 60 pounds heavier. You're hitting a kid that's the same weight as you. It's a very physical game and it's very fast. I think that's probably the other biggest change that you have is, we were very lucky. One of our outside linebackers / DNs ended up winning our conference defensive player of the year and then the overall defensive player of the year between the two conferences. He's 5'6" and 155 pounds, but he can chase anybody down. He runs probably about a 4.6, 540. He's physical. Like I said, he also rushed off the edge. He can't be blocked. He's not human. We joke with him all the time that if he gets scratches on his arm, we won't see blood, we'll see metal, because he's just a machine. Him, just anybody can chase anybody down. So the pace is a lot faster. I think it's a very physical game, the same as every other football game. But the average weight is really going to be the only difference. Outside of that, it's the same as any other college game that you may watch from NAI level all the way up into Division I.
Of course, while being the head football coach, have you seen, obviously, as you said, you had a player go on to the NFL, but for sprint football, is there opportunities for the professional level in sprint football?
I don't think it would be ruled out. I mean, I think especially when you see kind of what the game is turning into in terms of, I think we always kind of, as coaches, if you're good enough, somebody will find you. So I don't think it's ever completely not a possibility. But we also, we try to get, our guys to understand that, that's, we want to do all we can to make them the best football players that they can be, but their goals have to align with what we want to do as a program. And then again, if they get the opportunity, that's amazing. So I'm not saying it's ever going to be impossible. I definitely don't think the odds are in their favors. With again, averaging, probably about 5'10" and 175 pounds. You don't see many of those in the NFL. But I mean, it's, I think more so it's the opportunity to continue to play the game that you love. And then again, to earn a scholarship and get an education. Those are the things that I think makes sprint football such a great opportunity. Because I think there's a lot of kids that may not have that chance to go to college and get a degree if they didn't have football being a part of it. And so, I think that's what we focus on. Like I said, if we ever have a guy, I mean, clearly, that it would be awesome. But we focus more on, we're giving you the chance to continue to play the game you love. But again, we want you to get an education, to get a degree and be able to hopefully do what you love to do with the rest of your life. Because at some point for all of us, the game of football ends. No matter maybe if you're not Tom Brady, he might play till he's 90, but for most of us, the game's going to end at some point. So you gotta be able to be ready and be prepared for what life's going to bring to you next. When you can no longer lace up those cleats and put that helmet on. And so we put a big emphasis on trying to focus on that, as well as letting them continue to play the game that they love.
What does a typical game day look like for Quinncy?
For us, it's I think like most. So for our guys, say if we're playing at home, that we get up in the morning, we have a team breakfast, and then we will meet offense and defense. And then the guys have a little bit of time, go back to their dorms to make sure they have everything they need. And then they have to report at the stadium 3 hours before the game. And so throughout when they arrive, they get a little bit of time on the field. They kind of walk around. We've got a stretch box where they can, have a lacrosse ball or some massage guns, whatever it is. Kind of just relax, get their bodies kind of, starting to warm themselves up a little bit. Some of them will get taped, and then they go up. We actually do. I'm a big proponent of trying not to wear them out before a game. And so we do a very, very quick, probably about a 15-minute warm up. So it's not real long. Our actual dynamic stretch takes about 8 minutes. And then we break off into our positions individually for about 3.5 minutes. And then we have about 3.5 to 4 minutes of a team session. And then we go back up in the locker room and we wait and we kind of relax. We do that in just our jerseys and our helmets. We don't put pads on yet. And so we normally spend probably about the last 45 to 50 minutes before kickoff in the locker room. Again, getting relaxed, getting ready. I also kind of like getting them away from all the commotion. I want their focus to be on what their task is. And, we try to get our warm up done before the opposing team comes out. Because, everyone does this, right? You turn around and you're looking at their guys and you're trying to measure them up. And again, your focus gets away from what it is that you need to do. And then we've got kickoff. And then, we've got our halftime preparation and then the end of the game. So it's definitely nothing special. It's nothing that probably that other coaches don't. It's pretty similar, probably what most people do. But it's the overall, experiment. We probably averaged about 400 or 500 people per game at our home games last year, which I was very, very happy with. We are the only team in our conference currently that does have our own stadium. So it's nice to, be able to play at a field that says the Hawks on it, and we have a locker room at the stadium, and kind of all that kind of stuff. So Quinncy definitely creates a very fun atmosphere for our guys to play in on Saturday afternoons, and so we're very lucky that our guys get to have something like that, because that doesn't happen everywhere. I joke with our guys. I remember the first time I walked out as a college football player, and we had about 200 people at our game, and they were mostly parents. So it's not the same. There's and we've got guys. In my high school where I played at, we averaged probably 3,000 or 4,000 a game. Almost everyone in the town, was there on Friday night. So, being able to have still a really, really fun atmosphere for our kids to play in, I think is really awesome. And it's a big testament to the city and the university and our community for them to come out and support this.
Of course, as a coach and as a players, what is that feeling like, obviously going out onto the stadium that the Division II players in tackle football get to go on that same field?
I think it's special. I think the big thing about it is it's a place you can call home. Like I said, it's been an amazing kind of relationship between the two programs. That's always kind of asked a lot of how how do you manage two programs? Which is why I reached out with Army and Navy Aldous and Broadus out on the West Coast and East Coast and West Virginia. They all have two programs. Most of the other conference has two teams. You've got Penn and Cornell that both have sprint, and then their Ivy League teams. And then they say you have Army, Navy, and Aldous and Broadus that both have Army, Navy with their Division Ones, and Aldous and Broadus also has a Division Two team. So the blueprint was definitely there of saying, well, how do you manage having two varsity football programs? And again, it's a big testament to the other team and their players. They've kind of taken our guys under their wings a little bit. They've now granted we didn't have a lot of opportunities for each other to spend time watching each other's games. Now they had a couple games at home before we got started, so our entire team went to their home games and watched and supported, and I'm sure that again, if it was if we had the flip side of it to where we were playing a game and they weren't, that some of their guys would come out and watch us and support us, and so I think just a big thing is it's nice to say you've got a place that's home. Yeah, maybe someone else calls it home too, but I mean that's a part about being a part of a university, right? I mean, we've got our lacrosse teams both use our stadium as well, so it's not like it's just a football stadium. It's a football lacrosse stadium, and so. But like I said, I think the biggest thing is it's just nice to say we've got a place to call our own, to call home, and say that hey, this is where we get our stuff done. So.
What is that like, obviously, getting to play some of those teams like Army and Navy sprint football?
So we haven't had the pleasure to play them yet. I think that's kind of our big push for these next couple of years is, we've had talks with the other conference. We would love to, continue to expand this. I think that's kind of the biggest, and I was very fortunate. I was able to get a transfer student who had played at Caldwell University who has sprint football. And so, he came and started all 7 games for us as our starting center. But to be able to have his insight in what it was like to play sprint football, the differences in the conferences, how we do things, the similarities. I mean, it was a really great experience having Derek. So shout out to Derek, our center. I know that he only played for us for a year, but he's going to be an important part of our program for the next 10 to 15 years. And, that's kind of the goal, right? Is we want to see not only because when you have Army, Navy, Penn, Penn playing at Franklin Field, which is one of the oldest college stadiums in the country. That's history right there. That's a part of the historical side of what college football has been for so many years. I think what an honor it would be to play Army or Navy, not just to see how we stack up against guys like that, but to say you shared a field with people who are going to go out and sacrifice their lives for us and for our freedoms and for us to do what we'd love to do on a daily basis. I think that's a huge honor. So that's definitely something we're shooting for in these next couple of years. Man, we would love to have some sort of crossover with them. And have the opportunity to play not just Army or Navy, any of those teams, because again, we're all, first, second year programs. They've been doing this for a long time. So they're the ones that we've got to try to chase and we're trying to represent. And so to be able to, it's almost like, having Kobe or LeBron play Michael Jordan, right? They all looked up to Michael Jordan growing up, and then they had a chance to kind of share a court with them. Same idea. It's something to where we've tried to learn from them and try to mimic what they do, and then at some point to share a field with them would be a pretty big honor.
What does the recruitment process look like on the sprint football side, and the official visit look like at?
It's not a whole lot different. I do think our recruitment time period's a little bit longer than what you get, at some, at the higher levels, Division I, AA, Division II. They're kind of done recruiting once signing day happens. We're a little bit more like what you see in Division III NAIA, where we're probably we're going still into March, sometimes into April. But outside of that, it's really not that much different. We try to get kids here in the fall to come to a game where they get to meet us coaches a little bit. We do a small recruiting pitch with them, but we don't show them the campus or anything like that because we are in the middle of a game day. But then they get to come and be a part of the game day, see how our warm up and be on the sideline and all that kind of stuff. And then we do try to bring them back. We had a couple visits here in December, and then we'll have a couple more in February and March. And then we have individual visits throughout the entire period, kind of just depending on what everyone's schedule is like from a recruit. So it's not a whole lot different. I think we do go a little bit longer than what you do see some of the higher levels doing, but outside of that, I mean, we're doing all the same stuff. We're going into high schools. We're trying to talk to coaches and players and trying to get them here on campus and, hopefully try to win them over, and show them, the opportunity that they could have and hopefully the future, that they could have, if they spent the next 4 years with us. So.
As a head coach, what is it like obviously seeing those players get to put on that Quincy football jersey?
It's a big honor. I think more so to be able to watch kids and a lot of them who had thought that their careers were done, right? Who thought that, I'm smaller, so I'm not going to have the chance to play college football. Just to be able to watch them, strap on a helmet one more time and continue to play the game that they love. It's why I do what I do. I tell our kids all the time, like, there's a lot of this job that's stressful, that is not the greatest thing in the world. I'm a big family man. I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't have, the wife that I have and my kids, and because, we're gone a lot, we're away from home, a lot. And that's a big part of my job that I'm not a big fan of. I love being around my kids. I don't want to miss anything of them growing up. And, but just to have kids, especially at the end of our season, right? How many kids came up to not only myself, but our other coaches and just thanked us, just for the fact that they believe, we believed in them and we gave them a chance to continue to play. And no matter how long it lasts, right? I mean, again, it could last 4 years, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is. Just the opportunity that we're giving them to play this game for just a little bit longer, it makes it worth it. It really does. And I think it's by far the best part of my job, is to be able to share that with kids and create that opportunity with them.
What are some of your future plans for building the program?
Oh, I feel like they change every day. I just I think my biggest thing is you kind of hit on it with, it's a culture. I tell our kids all the time, like, our schemes can change, and they probably will change, from time to time, or, hopefully when my coaches get to move on and do bigger and better things. And then I bring in new guys, we'll have different schemes. But what my big thing is I want our program to be a well respected program, no matter whether it's me or somebody else in place. I want the foundation that we built. I want that to carry on, for 10, 15, 20 years or however long, it gets to be a sport here. I want to do things the right way. I tell guys all the time, I don't ever measure success by wins and losses. I measure our success by our graduation rate and our experience. I want guys to walk away from here loving what they did, whether, again, it was 2 years, 3 years, a year. I want them hopefully walking away with a degree, and wanting them to in 10 years sit back and say that was one of the best decisions I've ever made. If that's because I tell them all the time, you don't talk about how many wins you had and this and that. No, you talk about the funny moments on practice that happened, or watching game film and you saw so and so trip randomly, and the bus rides or the hotel stays, and Those are the things that you remember. Those are the things that carry on, the relationships that you build. If we can do that, if we can, create an experience that kids thoroughly enjoy being a part of, no matter how long they are, then I think I've done my job, and that's what I try to focus on a daily basis of kind of our team mission statement is be the best version of you every day. It doesn't mean yesterday and today are going to be the same, and today and tomorrow aren't going to be the same. But attack every single day, every situation, trying to be the best version of you. And if you do that, I think you're going to accomplish anything that's thrown at you. So, if I can walk away, in whatever time that I, decide to do that, or that they force me to walk away, as long as, again, we're a very well respected program, and our guys love being a part of this, then I can walk away happy.
What advice would you give those future people that are in high school that are looking to play sprint football in college?
Take the opportunity. I mean, like I said, even playing Division III football still was one of the greatest things that I had ever done. It's not about the level. It's not about how high you go. It's not about this or that. It's about making that commitment, and seeing what it can do for you for your next 30 to 40 years of your life. So if you have the chance, right, if you get reached out to by a sprint team, which I'll tell you right now, we're continuing to grow. We've had 2 more teams add this fall. We've got a list of about 6 teams that want to add going into the fall of 24. So I think we were just the start of the doors opening for what sprint football can do across the country now. And so, take the opportunity. I promise you won't regret it. I think for a majority of all of us, it's an amazing experience that you won't get anywhere else. So don't overlook them. Take the time, go on visits, talk with those coaches, see what they have to offer, and if it's the right place for you, take that opportunity. Because again, I can almost guarantee you will not regret it. Whether, I mean, again, it will teach you life lessons, no matter if they're great or if they're ways not to be. I mean, there's always good in experiences, as long as you approach it that way. So if you are a kid, a high school kid that might be a little bit undersized, or you don't know yet what you really want, don't count out a sprint team, because again, I mean, there's no difference. We're just like every other college program. The only, he said, the only difference is you're not going to get punished because God didn't make you 6'2" and 250. I mean, outside of that, like it's an amazing opportunity, an amazing experience. And like I said, you can talk to any kid that played it, over the last 90 years, and I guarantee not a single one of them regrets it. So take the opportunity. At least, again, go on a visit, talk to those coaches, see what they have to offer. And if it is the right decision for you, take it, run with it, enjoy it. Because again, like I said, it's going to be an experience I know you won't regret.
What advice would you give those head coaches, such as yourself, that are looking to build a sprint football program for their college or university?
Be you. Again, that was probably the best advice I was given. Don't let it change who you are as a coach. Be who you are as a coach. I think starting a program, one of the hardest things for me that I've had to overcome, and I'm still working on it, is you've got to kind of go on a leap of faith, right? You're going to put a lot of important decisions in other people's hands, and it's just something you have to be okay with, right? I tell our kids all the time, you got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. You've got to learn how to do that, and I think that's probably one of the hardest transitions for me. Is again, I've told our recruits, building a program from scratch is like trying to ask the prettiest girl at your school to prom, right? You ain't gonna do it twice. If she says no, you're not gonna ask again. So I wanted to try to make sure I did everything right the first time. And at times it's hurt me. At times again it's made me not be as open to allowing for other people to be involved. So I think it's an amazing opportunity. If you're a high school coach that, college again is at some point a future goal of yours. I don't think Sprint is a bad decision to start out in. To kind of get your toes wet a little bit and see what it's all about. I think it's an amazing opportunity, for players and coaches. So, I think that's for any coach. Be who you are. Don't let where you're at change who you are. Stick to who you are and what you believe in, and at some point you'll find a place that you're happy at. Right? It might take some trial and error. That happens. That's a part of the real world, but I think that's been the best kind of advice that's carried me throughout my coaching career, and has allowed for me to get some of the opportunities that I've been presented, and so it's definitely been the best advice I've been given, and I would turn it around and give it to anybody else if they were asking about it.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media, along with the Quinncy University Sprint Football Program at?
Yeah, so we're on every social media that you can think of. We've got Facebook accounts, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We even have a TikTok account, even though I'm against that. That was something where there's a thing to where I know kids are real big into TikTok, and I'm not a TikTok person, but it's not about me. It's about what's going to attract kids, what kids are going to be excited about. So we have all that kind of stuff. My email here at Quinncy, MCLAUCO at Quinncy.edu. Our Twitter is at QU Sprint FB. That's our same Instagram account. My Twitter account is at Connor, CONNER, Mac, MAC8. Again, feel free. I don't know if you have, I can share, links with you, Brandon, and you can share that with your listeners. And, it's, you get a hold of us at any point, reach out. Again, if you're an inspiring coach, if you're a high school coach that has players, that you think fit this mold, by all means, we're here to try to build relationships and, like I said, give opportunities, no matter who that's to. So, we're everywhere. We actually, like I said, if you have it, we kind of have a one-stop shop for all of our information called the link tree, to where if you go onto this link, it's got everything: our emails, our social media accounts, things about the school, about Quinncy itself, about our conference, our sports website, anything that you need to know about Quinncy Sprint football. It's all in one place. So, like I said, I can share that, with you, Brandon. And again, if you've got a place you can, list that, that would be awesome. It definitely, please again, reach out. This is amazing. I can't thank you enough. I know one of my D-line coach had gone on a podcast as well, and talked a little bit about sprint football. And so we're always wanting to, continue to grow the sport and grow the knowledge of it, and continue to kind of, show what it can do and what it can give to young men and to coaches and to families and to schools. It's been an amazing opportunity and experience, and we want as many people as possible to be a part of it.
Thank you again, Coach Connor McLaughlin, for your interview, and best of luck in your future at Quinncy University as the head sprint football coach.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Connor McLaughlin, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.